It's time for the Kiddie Puppet Show from Adults. A wonderful and a pleasant day to our listeners. For those who are not yet familiar to this show, this is the widest puppet show that we ourselves created intended for you. Because we love you. Because you made us smile. Because you all make our day complete. Because we want to know that we treasure you all. And because we want to know about the establishment of the Spanish rule and the situation of our country during that period. So sit back and relax and just enjoy the show. But wait! I forgot to tell you that this kind of reporting is situational. Confused? Don't be confused. Let's start now. Here's one situation happened about a month ago.
Hey bro, we have this kind of assignment that tackles about the establishment of Spanish rule. I know you're an intelligent person, so could you help us about this?
Thank you for such compliment. Yes, I could help you with your problem. But how can I help you?
Oh, it's just so simple, not a waste of time. Could you please tell me of what really happened during that time?
Okay. But I'll just summarize it and pick out some important matters because I still have a class later. Well, Ferdinand Magellan arrived in the Philippines in 1521. In 1564, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, the first Governor-General of the Philippines, also made his expedition here, and after 6 years, he established a capital at Manila, which then became the center of the trading industry. The Spanish governor made a viceroy, ruled with the counsel of the powerful royal audiencia.
I heard that the Muslims became a significant problem for the Spanish. Is it true?
Yes, it's true. Actually, the Spanish conducted intermittent military campaigns against the Muslims, but without conclusive results until the middle of the 19th century. One of the Spain's objectives in colonizing the Philippines was the conversion of Filipinos to Catholicism.
But what about the lower levels of administration? Was Philippines a colony by that time?
The Spanish built on traditional village organization by co-opting local leaders. This system of indirect rule helped create in a Filipino upper class called the Principalia, who had local wealth, high status, and other privileges. Among the most significant changes under Spanish rule was that the Filipino idea of public use and ownership of land was replaced with the concept of private ownership and the granting of titles on members of the Principalia. The Philippines was not profitable as a colony, and a long war with the Dutch in the 17th century and intermittent conflict with the Muslims nearly bankrupted the colonial treasury. Colonial income derived mainly from entrepot trade. The Manila galleons sailing from Acapulco on the west coast of Mexico brought shipments of silver bullion and minted coin that were exchanged for return cargoes of Chinese goods. There was no direct trade with Spain.
Oh, thank you, bro. I think that's more than enough. I learned a lot from you.
Oh, that's nothing. What our friends are for. I should lead you now. It's already time for my history class. Bye-bye. So guys, that was just a start. I hope you will not leave us as this program goes on. This next situation has something to talk about the systems that were used by the Spanish in their colonization. It is in the form of a poem.
Divide et impera, divide and conquer in English, an effective system used by colonizing Spanish. It breaks up large concentration of power into smaller chunks and therefore considered as weaker. fostering distrust and enmity between local rulers, preventing alliances to the sovereign become challengers. Cooperating people of the sovereign were promoted, capabilities of political and military were subjugated. Way back then, Filipinos are Indios. Tribes has respected names, examples are Cebuanos and Ilocanos. These tribes speak different languages that resulted to the appearance of so many bandages. Establishment of a nationwide language made the rebellion into a better change. Divide et Impera was at its worst, but defeated by Filipinos' freedom thirst.
Entertainment with lesson, right? This next situation is the revealing of the encomienda system. This happened about a week ago. This is just a review. In 1570, the encomienda was introduced in the Philippines when Legazpi, in compliance with a decree issued by the King Philip II in 1558, distributed lands in Cebu to loyal Spanish subjects. These men had helped conquer the Philippines. The encomienda was not actually a land grant, but was a favor from the kind, under which the Spaniard receiving his favor was given the right to collect tributes or taxes from the inhabitants of the area assigned to him. The man who received this favor was called an encomendero. The encomienda was, therefore, a public office. Now, who can tell me what the duties of an encomendero and the abuses they had committed?
Sir!
Yes, Mr. Oswe? What are those?
Well, sir, the duties of an encomendero are to give protection to the natives, to help the missionaries convert the natives to Christianity, to promote education, and sir, their abuses to the Filipinos are brutal treatment of the Filipinos, collecting more tribute than that authorized by law, forcing the people to work for them, seizure of the people's animals and crops without just compensation.
Very good, Mekmek. Now, hey, Mr. Digal, why are you sleeping in my class?
Sir, you said that our lesson for today is just a review. So why listen when I already know what will be our topic for this session? Also, sleeping makes me...
What did the friars do in order to protect the Filipinos from the abuses of the encomenderos? What are 3 kinds of encomiendas and how was its size be determined? Please answer, Mr. Degal.
Ay, pagkasayon! What did the friars did in order to protect the Filipinos from the abuses of the encomenderos? Well, they preached from the pulpits against encomendero abuses, wrote letters and memorials to the King of Spain in which they reported the abuses of the encomenderos and refused to absolve the encomenderos from their sins. 3 kinds of encomiendas. These are the royal encomiendas belonging to the king, the ecclesiastical encomiendas belonging to the church, and private encomiendas belonging to private individuals. The sizes of these encomiendas would be determined based on the number of people living in it and based on the value of the land.
Oh, it's good that you already know all about that. Excellent, Mr. Legal.
So, sir, can I go back to sleep now?
Wait a minute. There's something I would like to add. The law limited the number of natives in an area and administered by an encomendero to not more than 300, and the value of the land was limited to not more than 2,000 pesos. At first, an encomienda could be held for 3 generations and about 90 years. This was later reduced to 2 generations, but because of the complaints from encomenderos, the king decided to return the encomienda tenure to 3 generations in 1635.
Well, very well said, sir. Good night. So, we're almost done, guys. This last topic we will bring you is still about the Spanish colonization. It is all about the pacification and
The Spanish to the Philippines and provides an analysis of the impact of the methods used in the conquest and pacification.
In addition to that, how did or what is the political setup in the Philippines in that time?
This would be a long one. Listen, son. Spanish rule for the first 100 years was exercised in most areas through a type of tax farming imported from the Americas and known as the encomienda, which was then abandoned by the Spanish by the end of the 17th century. The galleon trade with Acapulco, Mexico assured Manila's commercial primacy as well. The exchange of Chinese silks for Mexican silver not only kept in Manila those Spanish who were seeking quick profit, but it also attracted a large Chinese community. Manila was also the ecclesiastical capital of the Philippines. The Governor-General was the civil head of the church in the islands, but the Archbishop vied with him for political supremacy. In the late 17th and 18th centuries, the Archbishop, who also had the legal status of Lieutenant Governor, frequently won. Economic and political institutions were also altered under Spanish impact, perhaps less thoroughly than in the religious realm. The dispersed demographic patterns of the old barangay slowly until the late 18th century, as shifting cultivation gradually gave way to more intensive sedentary farming, partly under the guidance of the friars. The socio-economic consequences of the Spanish policies had accompanied this shift, reinforced class differences. The Tatus and the representatives of the old noble classes took advantage of the introduction of the Western concept of absolute ownership of land to claim as their own fields cultivated by their various retainers. Even though traditional land rights had been limited to usufruct, these heirs of the pre-Spanish nobility were known as the Principalia and played an important role in the friar-dominated local government.
Oh, thank you, Dad. Now my knowledge about the pacification and political setup inside the Philippines grew wider.
Whew. Sad to say, but our time had already come to an end. We hope that you've gathered some useful information regarding the establishment of the Spanish rule in the country, and also its political setup during that time. Well, we thank you all for listening to our program entitled The KIDDIE Puppet Show for Adults. See you next time!